So as we proceed further, we will see a lot of example as well. So today lecture number 38, we will talk about discrete random process. That means we are having a sequence of random variable where indexing happens to be a discrete. It is coming from a discrete state indexing that, and that's the simple notation. Simple indexing you can take it like this way: set of natural number. N is coming from set of natural number. Or if you open it up, then you can call it is a sequence of random variable. And finally you can put it like this way. That means first term would be x1. You are having a proper ordering, that we are calling it well ordering property of the discrete random process. And second term would be x2, and likewise it will go up to infinity, xn, and it will go on like what infinite sequence we had already seen in math 1. So that kind of things we will observe here. So before going to that, I will talk about recap of multiple random process. So I won't go much detail. Those things we had already discussed in last class. What I will do it here, I will give one example, another example, from input output process. So every system always happens to be input output process, and there is a process, you can call it, it is a process where we need to input something, and resultant is some kind of output. Okay. So input, generally what we will do it here, we will do input as some kind of random process, and output would be also a random process, that we are calling it yt, y of t. Okay, and this is the system. We don't know what kind of system it may be any communication system, it may be any additive system and something like that. So what is happening that here the inverse problem kind of things, actually we want to measure x of t, this input. We want to get the value of x of t, but we don't know what is that value. So what we do in place of that, we measure output. So this is the measured value. So this output yt, it happens to be uh, as a function of input x of t. Yt, always output happens to be function of input plus or some kind of, suppose very simple case we are taking it. That means this system is giving some kind of noise, additive noise. So call it n of t. So that noise is also one kind of random process. So our output, what we will call it, we can say that this output is the measure output, measurement, or simply we can say that measurement. So y of t equal to x of t plus n of t. Here that means we know the value of y of t, but we don't know x of t. We want to infer what is the value of x of t, or simply we can say that we want to estimate x of t here. And n of t, this one is noise. So definitely we will have information about noise thanks to the system. So some kind of assumption we need to take over the system in order to get explicit form of this noise. So we are having information about this measured value y of t, and the information this noise n of t, and from there we need to infer what is estimate of x of t. That is the problem. So here we observe actually three random process, but among these three, two are known and one is unknown. X of t is unknown, and y of t and n of t is known. So generally what we will do, so and further we can say that we don't have to focus much about n of t, because it is a system so generated noise, system generated noise. So system, if you study a particular system, definitely you will have information about this noisy random variable process. Okay. So simply you can say that you just want to see the correlation between this output signal y of t, output signal, that means output random process y of t, and the input random process x of t. And you are having information about y of t. By using the information of y of t, you have to infer about the x of t. That is the problem here. So here at a time you are dealing with two random processes. So suppose here everything whatever I have described, everything will come in here. Suppose the random process y of t, it is consist of our desired signal, that x of t plus some noise n of t, so that we can say that y of t equal to x of t plus n of t. That means noise is additive in nature. Okay, additive noise. Now we have to find, question is that we have to find the cross correlation between observed signal y of t and the desired signal x of t. Okay, and you can say that cross correlation. Why? Because correlation happens between two different random processes. One is y of t, another one is x of t. That's why we are introducing term cross. Matlab it is talking about two random processes. Okay, and here we have also taken one assumption that the noisy signal n of t happens to be independent. It have independent random process. Okay, so all these are just assumption for simplicity of problem. Then what we have to do, then we have to find cross correlation. It is defined by how? It is talking about cross correlation. We define time sample wise. So we are taking two sampling at t1 and t2. So at t1 we are taking sampling of x, and at t2 we are taking sampling of y. So that's way we are getting two random variable x of t1 from input signal x of t, and the y of t2 uh, from output signal y of t. Then what we will do, we will find cross correlation between these two as a expectation of product of these two random variable. And just what we do, we are x of t1, actually there is a relation between x of t1 and y of t1. Y of t1, what would be relation? So here y of this one, y of t2, it is what? It is sum of x of t2 plus n of t2. So just simplify this relation. After that what we are getting, we are getting that expectation of x of t1 into x of t2 plus uh, x of t1 into x n of t2, and this one is the noisy process. And if you know the property of expectation, it is always what it is, it is behaving like linear property with respect to addition. That means you can say that expectation of sum of two random variable is equal to sum of the corresponding expectation. That means expectation of x plus y, it would be equal to expectation of x plus expectation of y. So it is linear with respect to addition. So very easy to uh, derive this relation. It is very easy to derive. From the definition of expectation you can derive easily, but this one is very easy kind of relationship. So what you do here, so here you observe this one is one kind of random variable. So you can say that it is a derived random variable. Why? It is product of two random variable, x of t1 and x of t2, and you are having another derived random variable x of t1 into n of t2. Okay, so simply one derived random variable, another derived random variable. So you can apply this additive property of the expectation, and finally it would be expectation of x1, x of t1 and x of t2. So that we are calling it what? That one is the what correlation between x of t1 and x of t2, or simply you can say that it is auto correlation. This one is dealing with the same random process, input random process x of t. That's why this term you can call it auto correlation function plus expectation of t1, x of t1 into n of t1. And we know that this noise is independent of the uh, this input x of t1. So easily we can take it out to this it would be what? It would be product of corresponding expectations. So that's expectation of x at t1 and expectation of n at t2 is coming. Why? Due to independent nature of nt and xt. Noise always happens to be, by assumption we always put noise always happens to be independent of the input. So that's why we are also you can observe that this one is x of t is input. It is coming from some kind of source, and n of t, it is the noise. Noise, it is system generated. So both things are coming from two different source. So that's why definitely independency between n of t and x of t would come here. Okay, so this is the process how to calculate cross correlation between two random variables that coming from two different random process. Okay, now we are coming to discuss about discrete time random process. So I will take very simple kind of random process. Then I will go to discuss in detail about what is discrete random process. So simplest one happens to be IID process. IID random process. What is meaning of that? So IID always recall whenever I am saying that IID. So basic example is what it is coming from tossing a coin several times. Keep on toss a coin several times. So x1 it would be associated with the first toss, x2 would be associated with second toss, x3 would be associated with uh, third toss. Likewise, and xn it would be associated with nth toss. So if you try to observe this x1, that means it is this random variable, it is associated with first toss. Definitely x1 would be independent of x2, x2 would be also independent of x3, and likewise x3 would be independent of xn. So if you take any two pair of random variable in the tossing process of a coin, same coin, then you always observe that each two pair happens to be independent to each other. And again, if you are taking a same coin, then definitely there would be a parameter p that we are calling it probability of success or probability of getting head. So you can call it p. P is probability of getting head. In simple, we denote it p of h. So this for the same coin, definitely it would be a fixed quantity. So for each xi, the probability of success would be p, and hence we can say that each xi is having same distribution. Because what is the distribution of a Bernoulli random process? That it is a discrete random variable, and distribution happens to be p to the power x, p to the power x, or p to the power k. Better notation, take it k. Because why? Because here it is a discrete random variable, so that's why notation you can take it like k. P to the power k into 1 minus p to the power 1 minus k. This is the distribution of a single Bernoulli random variable. You know, where what are the value of k? K is taking only two value. Either k would be 0 or k would be 1. Because xi, each xi is a Bernoulli random variable. So that's why k can take only two value, either 0 or 1. So you can say that this is the PMF of any discrete random variable. You can call it xi. Xi of k. This is it. Okay. So that's why we can say that it is a IID, independent and identically distributed process. So how we will define an IID? First, I would like to define IID. We need to generalize it. So an IID, it happens IID random process X, and it happens to be a discrete time random process. It is consisting of a sequence of independent, matlab each any two xi and xj happens to be independent and identically distributed. That means each xi is having the same distribution with that means what is meaning of same distribution? Each xi will have the common CDF f of x, capital F of x. Each xi will have the same CDF, same PDF, or if it is discrete, then it would be same PMF. Okay, and same mean, same variance, everything would be same. That is the meaning of identically distributed. Here, remember that here time is discrete in nature. Here, x1 may be a continuous random variable, may be a discrete random variable. Here, the time index, that one is actually discrete in nature. So that's why we are talking about discrete time random process. So the joint. So one example of how is already I discussed about. So how we will go for in order to characterize time sample of this random IID random process. So we need to define a joint CDF for any time instant. So your time instant happens to be discrete in nature, n1, n2 up to nk. We will define CDF by this probability that x1 is taking value up to x1, x2. What is x1? X1 you can say that it is defined by the random process at time n1. At time n1, and similarly x2 is what? X2 is the random variable defined by discrete random process at time n2. N2, this is the, and likewise xk is nothing, just it is defined by random process at time nk. Okay, so this is the CDF defined by this way, and we know that we have taken independent condition. So due to that, this joint probability, it would be equal to product of individual probability. So this is the product. So easily we can calculate CDF of a time sample. You can say that this is the CDF of a time sample x1, x2 up to k. K time, better call it k time sample. That means k number of times a time instant you are taking. Okay, so therefore, from the above equation, it implies that the random process is discrete valued, and the joint uh, protein mass function factor into in the uh, product of PMF. Suppose xi happens to be discrete, then it can be factored into PMF, and the mean of an IID process. So one simple, we are going for discrete time random process, discrete time discrete random process. Okay, discrete time discrete, and each xi happens to be discrete in nature. In that time, it is easy to calculate joint PMF. Why? Because we have taken independent condition. Due to that a joint PMF, it would be product of individual PMF, and the mean of an IID process, it can be obtained as how. So each one is having the same, each copy of xi having the same mean. So mean of it would be any, if you take any general element xn and find the mean happens to be mu. So mean, you observe that mean of an IID process happens to be a constant number mu. It is just independent of n. You can observe that it happens to be uh, mu. Okay, now we are going to find co uh, here we will find autocorrelation and autocovariance. So better first we will find auto covariance. So how we can find? So we can take two assumptions. One is case n1 is not equal to n2. At we are trying to find at two time sample, to at n1 and at 2. At n2 we will have random variable x of n1, and simply we can say that that one is x1, and at n2 we will have another random variable x of n2. Okay, so how you find this one, this auto covariance? You find it through definition of auto covariance. It is just definition of covariance, and if you find it, what would be the talking about expectation of the this mean deviation and this mean deviation. And what we observe that if you take a expectation inside, then expectation of a constant number happens to be the number itself. But what is the expectation of x n1? Expectation of x1 n1, it would be what? Mu. So mu minus mu is 0. Similarly, as expectation of n2, it would be what? Again mu, and expectation of mu would be mu. So mu minus mu is 0, and we know that each x size happens to be independent. So due to that, we can easily calculate expectation of this product of random variable is equal to expectation of product of corresponding expectation. So that we can say that expectation of this one is 0 times 0. That means that one is equal to 0. So it is a situation when n1 is not equal to n2. Now suppose we are taking a condition when n1 is equal to n2. So in this case, what we will observe that this covariance, it becomes just variance, because here n1 equal to n2, in common name we are giving it equal to n. We are giving name n. So what does it becomes? So xn minus mu, it is coming twice, so it becomes a square. So what is this one? This one is the definition of variance of xn. So that's way when n1 equal to n2, so if this quantity is not equal to 0, it is what? It is a situation that it is equal to variance of the system. Okay, now combining these two cases, we can write the covariance, that auto covariance, as in term of this one is what we are calling it chronicle delta. Chronicle delta times sigma square. So we know that what is the value of chronicle delta? This I will talk about this. When n1 equal to n2, it will take value 1, and otherwise it will take value 0. So when n1 equal to n2, the chronicle delta is taking value 1, otherwise it is 0. That means when n1 is not equal to n2, the value of chronicle delta is It is just one very interesting notation introduced by, I think, Einstein or someone who has introduced this one. So it is. So this is the joint form of covariance, autocovariance, because we are dealing in the same random process. Okay. So now we are going to discuss one important case of IID process that we are calling it Bernoulli random process. So Bernoulli random process where uh, each member of random process, it would be a Bernoulli random variable. So let In be the sequence of independent Bernoulli random variable In is then it would be an IID, that what I had already discussed, that related with tossing a coin n time, tossing a coin n time, or tossing a coin several times. So if you keep on tossing a coin, then each toss will give a Bernoulli random variable. In that process, you are generating a sequence of random variable In. So it is a what kind of random variable? It is a IID, because you can easily observe independence, and also each copy of Bernoulli random variable will have the same distribution. For example, for simplicity, this In, it could be an indicator function of the event that a light bulb fails and it is uh, replaced on day n, and the realization of Bernoulli variable in equal to 1, that is probability of success. That success, it is depicted like this way. So these are the value of in which are reflect uh, in equal to 1. So at 2, what value of in, it is taking 1. At 3, what is value of in, it is equal to 3. So this one is one plot of in versus n. So what you can say that it is one kind of plot of sample function. And similarly, you can define here from the Bernoulli random variable, you can define a sum of Bernoulli random variable, first and Bernoulli random variable. So you keep on varying n, then what you will observe that I1, I2 up to In. So someone is willing to, so in that process you are also getting a sequence of random variables, sequence of sum of random variable. So if someone is saying that what is meaning of S1 is just equal to I1, and what is meaning of S2 is what? So another way you can say that it is, you are getting a sequence of partial sum. Another name in the course math 1, you might have seen sequence of partial sum. So S2 is what? S2 is sum of first two Bernoulli random variable, that means I1 plus I2. I1 plus I2. Likewise, nth sum would be this one, sum of first Bernoulli random variable. So you can plot one realization of Sn like this way. So you can easily observe that it is a monotonically increasing function. Sn is a monotonically increasing function of n, but we don't see here in we don't see such kind of things. Here we can observe the monotonicity in Sn, because it is coming as a sum of first n Bernoulli random variable. So that's why we are getting a sequence. So this one is also one kind of we will establish that this one would be also an IID process. Bernoulli random process, it happens to be an IID process, and this one would, I will establish later this one as a IID random process. Okay, so one also, when we are introducing IID process, we need to compute the probability of event as well. So in this Bernoulli process, in last case, we are taking a sequence like this way: 1 0 0 1. This four output we have taken. So what is the probability of this one? So if you want to calculate probability of this one, that means this 4 times sample we have taken. So how we can calculate probability? So we can easily calculate probability of, that means 1 0 0 1. It is saying that I1 is taking value 1, I0 is taking value 0, and I1 is taking value 1, I0 is, I2 is taking value 0, I3 is taking value 0 0, and I4 is taking value 1. So we have to find probability of this one. So it is this all these are coming jointly. So it is talking about one joint event. So this probability of 1001, it would be equal to probability that I1 is taking value 1, I2 is taking value 0, I3 is taking value 0, and I4 is taking value 1. And we know that each Bernoulli random variable happens to be independent in this Bernoulli process. So easily we can factor this joint probability as a product of individual probability. So that means this probability, joint probability, is equal to probability that I1 is taking value 1, I2 is taking value into probability that I2 is taking value 0, and into probability that I3 is taking value 0, into probability that I4 is taking value 0. So each ik, it is a what? It is a Bernoulli random variable. So what is the probability of this one? It is talking about probability of success. Probability of success will be P. And what is the probability of I2 equal to 0? It is talking about probability of failure. That probability of failure would be what? 1 minus P. And this one probability that I3 is taking value 0. That means again it is talking about probability of failure. What is the probability of failure? It is 1 minus P. And I4 is probability that I4 is taking value 1. It means it is talking about probability of success. Then what is the probability of success? P. That means we are multiplying P into 1 minus P into 1 minus P into P. And in total, if you do this multiplication in total, it is coming as P square into 1 minus P to the power 2. So this is the probability of this event. Okay. Similarly, we take if another event like we are going to find that probability in such a way our second random variable is taking value 0, and seventh random variable in the sequence of that random process, IIT random process, seventh member is taking value 1. That means we have to find the joint probability of this one. That means what is that joint probability? That probability that I2 is taking value 0, and seventh means I7 is taking value 1. And we know that I2 and I7 both are independent to each other. So simply we can find probability of this probability as a product of I2 is equal to 0 and into probability that I7 is equal to 1. So what is the probability of I2 equal to 0? Probability is 1 minus P. This probability would be 1 minus P, and what is probability I7 is taking value 1, that one is P. In total we are getting probability of this event at 0th at second place and 1th at 7th place. That probability is P into 1 minus P for this IID process. Okay, so another random process, that one is all these are discrete here. I told that here time sample happens to be a discrete in nature. So the random step, that means the time indexing XM, we are taking this kind of things. So another random process we will define it here. Random step process, actually this random step process, it is generated from Bernoulli process. So and we know that Bernoulli process is what it is, one kind of IID process, and hence we can say that random step process would be also an IID process. So how we define this one? So it is also, we can say that it is up down counter. Sometime this random process, each action, either it will take value +1 or it will take -1. And in Bernoulli random process we observe that each Bernoulli random variable is taking value either 1 or 0. So that's where we can express this random step process like this way. Here nth term of this process, it is defined like this way: dn equal to twice of in minus 1. And hence we can say that this step process, it is dn equal to +1 when Bernoulli random variable in it is taking value 1, and it is taking -1 when Bernoulli random variable in is taking value 0. So we can say that if you are taking any member of this random process, that will take either -1 or +1. So +1 you can say that is success, and -1 you can say that is failure. Likewise, so dn, it might represent the change, is also a change in position of a particle that moves along a straight line in a jump of +1 or -1 every time. So it is one kind of random walk. Either you can jump +1 towards right or -1 towards. If you are jumping +1 unit towards right, you can say it is +1, and if you are jumping left, then you can say that it is a -1. Left may reflect for minus sign. So a realization of dn you can look like this way. So here one, so time at time 1 we are having a positive jump 1. At time 2 also we are having a positive jump. At time 3 we are having a negative jump, that one is minus 1. At time 4 we are having positive jump. At 5 we are having again positive jump. At 6 we are having negative jump. At 7 we are having a negative jump minus 1. Likewise, this is the realization of 1 dn. Okay, and you can do also sum. So if you sum it up, what will happen? This is the sum. Likewise, what SN we had defined for Bernoulli random process. This is the sum process for this a step process, a random step process. Okay, or another name of this one, simplest one, you can say that it is a random walk. But I don't want to introduce random walk right now. Later I will introduce random walk. You can say that it is a random walk, one kind of random walk. Random walk. Okay. So here, in order to understand further the random process, we have to introduce two important property. One property is that it is talking about independent increment. Another property is Markov property. These two are very essential property to understand a random process in a better way. So, what is independent increment? It is talking about that you take any time sample at time t1 we are having a random process x sub t. At time t1 we are defining one random process x sub t1. At time t2, so t2 we are defining another random variable x sub t2. Likewise, at time tk we are defining a random variable x sub tk. So this all these are what? These are time sample. That means we do sampling of the random process at this time instant. So we are having this kind of time sample. It is simply k number of time sample we have taken. So you can say that it is k time sample. K time sample. Now in k time sample we do here introduce difference or increment. So increment, how we define it? We are defining increment. We are starting from t1 to t2. So we define increment here for these two, x sub t2 minus x sub t1. This one is one increment. Another increment would be what? X sub t3 minus x sub t2. So we are having this from time sample we got the first generation of random variables. K number of random variable we got. From that k number of random variable we are defining further new random variable by difference. So we are getting again other kind of random variable. So these are the, so again difference, we know that if you are taking two random variable and whether you do sum or difference or multiplication whatever is, that would be again a random variable. That means from the given set of random variable you are deriving new random variable. So that's where this increment happens to be derived random variable. And likewise you can define x of t k. So it is what kind of a random variable? It is talking about incremental random variable. We are defining through difference. So it is having a specific name. We are calling it increment. Tk minus x of tk minus x of tk. So if we are taking a random variable which is having a property that this increment happens to be independent to each other, then definitely we can enjoy the benefit of IIT condition. If suppose this x of t1, x of t2, x of tk may not be independent to each other, it may not be independent of random process. But what happens that if you define these differences or this increment, and if the increment happens to be independent, then we directly define a process which might be independent and identically distributed through this property. It x of t might be not independent, but we can derive an independent random process from x of t. Now another random process, it is another kind of random process. We are calling it Markov random process, and that is Markov a random process associated with Markov property. What does it say? It says that we are defining this time sample k time sample, and from the k time sample, what we observe that if you are trying to calculate probability that suppose you are currently at current time tk minus 1 and tk is the future time, next future time, then what you observe in the evolutionary process, you can say that whatever you are going to predict about predict, that means you are whatever probability associated with the x of tk you are going to calculate, definitely that would be influenced by previous history. So these are coming, so here t1 t2 up to tk uh, minus 2, those who would be part of history, those would be part of history. Okay, so here at tk, we are having random variable x of t1. At tk minus 2, we are having a random variable x of tk minus 2. Tk minus 2. Okay, so this one is the current time. These are the history. So we can say that definitely the probability that what is the probability that x of tk is taking some value, it will be totally dependent on the history along with the present. And what is the meaning of Markov property? If Markov property says that specific that here this probability that what is probability that at x at time tk, that one is only dependent on present x of tk minus 1, it is independent of past history, then that property we are calling it Markovian property or Markov property, and it is very much essential to solve a random problem related to random process. So that means you can say that the future is dependent on present, only dependent on present, or you can simply say that future depend on past through present only, through present. So that means you are having just idea of present, you don't have to bother about history, whatever history might be, just leave it, just you need to know present. From the present you can derive future. So that is the Markov property it says. Okay, so I will discuss here first property that what is it? Independent increment. So I mentioned that the independent increment and Markov property, these two are very useful property for a random process in order to solve a problem associated with a random process. So the increment of a random process in the interval t1 to t2, it can be defined as x of t2 minus x of t1. Here time is continuous in nature, and the a random process x of t, we say that it has an independent increment if the increment in disjoint interval are independent in a random variable. That is, we say that if you are defining a time instant t1 t2 up to tk, like in this way, like this is the time axis, here t1, here t2, and here t3. Okay, and what we do, we define here associated increment like this way: x of t1, x of t2 minus x of t1, x of t2, t3 minus x of t2, x of tk minus x of tk minus 1, like we. And these differences or these increments happen to be independent, then we can say that the system, the random process is a system which is having independent increment, which is having, if this increment happens to be independent, then we will say that. Okay, another property that we are calling it Markov property. So how we define it? So a random process, we say that it is having a Markov property if the future of the process given the present is independent of the past or independent of the history. That is what we say that for any time instant, for any k or any k number of time instant, that t1 t2 up to tk, and for any value of the random variable x1 x2 up to xk, x1 is the value of x of t1, x2 is the value of x of t2, likewise xk is the value of x of tk. Okay, So what we observe, so if you are trying to find a PDF of xk given, so xk, that means we are dealing with time tk, then reaching up to time tk, we what is the present is tk minus 1, and uh, from t1 to tk minus 2, those are part of history. So these are the history, and this is the present activity. So what if we are going to calculate pdf probability at xk, so if suppose it is just dependent on only present, that means at tk minus 1, then we say that it is a random process with Markov property. So that means we don't bother about history. So we can observe that this PDF is equal to this conditional PDF for continuous time random process. And for discrete time, how we define? So discrete time we directly define through probability mass function or simply through probability. That means we don't bother about history. So this conditional probability, that means definitely if you're trying to calculate probability at future time tk, tk, this is the probability at future time tk, and this is the present time. So it is totally independent of history, only it depends upon the present itself only. So this is for discrete time random process. So a random process that has independent increment is also a Markov process. But what if happens if you are taking a random process which is having independent increment, that would also satisfy Markov property, but converse is not true. That means simply we can say that there might be some kind of Markov process which may not be independent, may not have independent increment. So that's why converse is not true. We'll see those example as well. So just one example, I will take it after I will wind up this class. So the sum process. So whenever you are taking any kind of random process, and you can define a sum process. That means sum of first and uh, random variables. Okay, and then that would always a Markov process. How? We'll see that. The sum process we are saying, so simplest random process we are taking IID. So the sum process of an IID random process, that means x1 x2 up to x, it will go on like this way, and each member happens to be independent and identically distributed. Then we are defining a sum process. Sn is sum of first n random variables of the corresponding IID process, and in that process we can write this one as Sn minus 1 plus Xn. So what Sn minus 1 is, what it is talking about, sum of first n minus 1 uh, random variables. Okay, so here S0 also we are taking initial condition that this S0 is equal to 0, because S0 what is, that means we are not taking any random variables from the random process. That's why we have taken this condition S0 equal to 0, and S1 equal to S1 would be equal to X1, S2 would be equal to X1 plus X2, likewise S3 would be equal to X1 plus X2 plus S3, like so this is the sum process. So again, so we are having a one IID process Xn is IID. From here we have generated a random process sum, that we are calling it sum. That is again a sequence of random variable Sn, where each Sn is what defined as a sum of first n number of member of this given random process. Okay, so depends upon nature of xi, whether xi are discrete or continuous random variable, we can find pdf or emf of this sum process Sn. It can be obtained. So one idea I had already given, that how to find pdf of sum of two random variable, we can find through convolution. When so those involved random variable happen to be independent to each other. So here in IID process, we have already taken criteria that here I refer for independent. So that's why we can define PDF of Sn by using the convolution approach. Why? Because it is very easy to define convolution for Sn as well. We know that easily we can define convolution for PDF. We can define a PDF of this sum through convolution. And when we will what would be, if someone is asking how can we define uh, PDF for S3. So S3 is what? Now here, these two will give PDF of S2, and we know that S3 is what? Sum of S2 plus X3. So again, it is just it has been expressed in terms of sum of two random variables. So again, by using convolution, we can define PDF of S3. Likewise, you can define PDF of S4 as a sum of S3 and X4. So through convolution, also you can define PDF of each member of Sn. That's some process. Okay. And what we observe that Sn depends on here past only through the present. So that's why we can say that Sn is independent of the past when the Sn minus 1, that means present is known to you, then it would be independent of history, it would be independent of past, and hence we can say that some process is a what, it is a Markov process. So other things we will cover in next class. Regarding attendance, just mark your attendance in the comment box.